I'll get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Hi. Now you can say hi. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm really honored that you're here tonight. My name is Heather Paris. If you know me on Facebook, I'm Inspired Heather Paris. And I am a certified life coach, certified Neuro-Linguistic Programmer, strategic interventionist, and marriage educator. Besides doing all that, I also have a successful blog that I've been posting for over 2 years, and it's at liveinspirednow.com. Over 700 inspired posts, lots of good stuff to read from, so if you want to take a peek at that. So basically tonight we're going to talk about relationships. Who's here to make their relationship amazing? Yay! Oh look, I like that, yay! We only had one guy in the last class, and I picked on him the whole time, so... what is your name? What's your name? John. Is your name John too? John? John. And what was the guy's name in the first class? John. Is your name John too? No? Okay. Then I won't pick on you. Great. Okay, great. What is your name? Okay, I'm glad you didn't say John. I have too many John. Everyone's a John. Okay, yeah, we're going to get into relationship stuff, but feel free at any time if you have any questions to just ask, okay? I'm totally open. And by the way, I like to let everyone know when I'm doing this how I feel successful so that you guys can help me too. I'm here to help you, but you can help me by interacting or at least smiling. You don't have to raise your hand and ask questions or anything, but at least smile and laugh. That's perfect. You get an A. Thank you. So at least just, smile, laugh, sometimes, oh, that would be great. So let's get started. So this is your life. It might not be your life, but it's somebody's life. And most people spend their entire life just at the tip of the iceberg, not really experiencing anything. I know nobody in this room feels this way. Everybody here has wonderful, amazing, passionate, joy-filled lives. But there are some people that don't. They just experience life at the tip of the iceberg, never really experiencing everything else. And this is your inspired life. So as you can see, it's a lot more fun. A lot of exciting things. And I'd like to share my story of how my life became inspired. And my son Harry made this poster for me. Thank you, Sarah. This is my friend and my assistant tonight, Sarah, by the way. So if you need anything, feel free to ask her. So it was a few years ago. I'm going to share my story with you, and then we'll get right into all the good stuff and figure out how to fix all the relationships. So it was a few years ago. I was a single mother, 3 children, 3 jobs. Apparently I like things in threes. And I was tired, really, really tired. Anyone ever just tired or tired of being sick and tired? And that's how my life was. And I had come home from work one day, and I had gotten out early for whatever reason, God knows why. But during the day I was an administrative assistant at a design firm. And in the evening I was selling real estate. I was also a real estate agent. But then I also had my own company. I was manufacturing rubber stamps in my basement. So any orders that were coming through on the internet, I was making those at like sometimes midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. And single mom, 3 jobs, tired all the time. So one day I came home from work a little bit early, and I realized I had about 2 hours before the kids came home. Any moms in this room? 2 hours by yourself, right? Holy moly, I was so excited. That was going to be the best. So what was I going to do? Take a nap. Oh, yay, get to sleep. So I was really excited. So I went and laid on the couch, and just as I was about to doze off, I remembered I had to do something. I was literally like pissed, like, no, I just want this nap. This is what I need. I deserve it. And I was so tired, but I started to feel guilty. I'm like, oh, shoot. I had signed up for some workshop, motivational crap, rah, whatever. I'm going to go drag myself down to the real estate agency and sit through this workshop. I don't want to sit through a workshop, right? You guys know you're here at a workshop, right? So, but guilt started to set in. And I said, forget it. I'm not doing it. I'm staying. Guilt started to set in. I said, the person who did that workshop took time out of his schedule to show up at my real estate office And I signed up for it, and I made a commitment. And what if I'm the only one that signed up, and then I don't show up? Geez, that guy would feel really bad. So I said, fine, I'm going. And I went in T-shirt and jeans, too. And we had a dress code. We couldn't wear jeans. I was like, forget it. I'm going, but I'm not dressing up for this. So I went. I went to the real estate office, and I went to this workshop. And it was that. It was motivational. It was rah-rah. It was, wow, I got excited. Something in me really changed. Like, what do you mean I can have a passion-filled life, compelling future, good relationship? Yeah, right. My husband doesn't even live in the same state. We're not divorced. We're separated, but I live in Rhode Island, and he lives in Virginia because he was in the Navy, and he got stationed down there. And I said, well, see ya. I'm not going with you. So I'm a single mom, 3 kids, tired all the time, and this guy's telling me about this compelling future and this great passion-filled life. And I remembered that's who I really was. That's who I always was. But I forgot. I just forgot how fun things could be because I got so taken over by everything that I do every single day that it just got away from me. So I was really excited. I mean, up on my feet and clapping, and boy, he felt like he was doing a good job, So he, of course, at every workshop, what is there? There's an upsell. They want you to go to the next workshop. That's not free. You're going to pay for that one. So it was like $1,000. And as a single mom, 3 jobs, that was a big stretch for me then, That was a lot. But I didn't care. I said, you know what? I don't care what I have to do. If I have to take a 4th job, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for that workshop. So I signed up for that workshop right then and there, and I went home and I faxed my order in and everything, and I didn't know how I was going to do it because not only did I not really have the money, it was in Toronto. And at the time I lived in Rhode Island. I didn't live here. So I had to fly. Well, I don't fly. I fly now. But back then, I don't fly. The last time I ever flew on a plane was September 9th, 2001. And I hated flying. I hated flying back then, but then 2 days later when September 11th happened, that was the perfect excuse for me to never fly again. I said, okay, forget it, I'm done. I flew from Rhode Island to San Diego, the same flight plan. Nope, never have to fly again. And I literally drove across country 2 more times after that from California to Rhode Island. Never flew again, but somehow I'm going to Toronto because I want to go to this workshop. So I get on the plane 2 months later. I'm flying to the workshop. I'm on the plane like this, and I'm like white-knuckled on the seats, right? I'm in the middle, and there's this nice older lady here and this nice older lady here, and they're like, honey, are you okay? I'm like, just leave me alone. I think they were afraid I was going to like barf or something, and I'm sitting there, I'm like in tears, turbulence, and I'm like, tears are coming down my face. I'm really scared, but I did it. I did it, and I just told those ladies, I said, thank you, you're very nice, but please just leave me alone, and I'll be fine, just let me sit here. So I went to this workshop. It was a Tony Robbins workshop. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. Well, the person teaching the first workshop that I got off the couch to go to was Jared Robbins, Tony Robbins' son. And we became friends. So I go to this workshop, right? And the whole time on the first day they're talking about walking on fire. I'm like, that's a great metaphor. Walking on fire. That's cool. Yeah, I'm walking on the fire. And then somebody goes, yeah, I can't believe they're letting us do that. I'm like, what? Wait, what? I'm like, no, it's just a metaphor. She's like, it's not a metaphor. We're walking on fire. I'm like, no, I'm not. And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, that lady's crazy. There's 4,000 people here. How are 4,000 people going to walk over a fire? No way. And in my head, I'm like, well, okay, there's liability insurance. There's no way anybody can afford liability, and it's not really going to happen. Well, sure enough, it was real. And I actually walked on fire, and I couldn't believe it. So fast forward, and that weekend ended, and it was an incredible 4 days of my life. And in those 4 days, I remembered how awesome life could be and how relationships could be really wonderful and fun. And the quality of your life really is dependent on the quality of a relationship. How crappy does everything feel when you know you don't have anyone to come home to, or you're going to go home to a fight, or the people that are in your family don't like you, or you have to go to work with a bunch of coworkers that are miserable and make you unhappy. or it makes everything else feel bad, right? So I truly believe that the quality of life is about the quality of the right relationships that you have. So let's make them really quality, right? So I leave Toronto. I get on the plane this time. Oh, yeah, I'm not afraid of nothing. I walked on fire. So I'm on the plane. Oh, this is no big deal. I can fly, whatever. And it was great. So I flew home, and after that, I lost 30 pounds. I quit my job in real estate. I said bye-bye to the husband who I didn't love, and we didn't even live together anymore. So, and believe me, I'm a marriage educator. I'm for marriages and happiness and couples being together, all different couples, no matter what your couple type is, But at the same time, if a relationship is at the end, that's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world for a relationship to end, but what is the worst thing in the world is to continue living miserable and unhappy and spreading that to kids and to everyone else around you, right? So I came home. I started eating healthy. I became a vegetarian again, because before it was just like on again, off again. Now it's like my whole real life. And I lost 30 pounds, and I quit real estate, and I lost a husband, and I decided to move to New York. That's right, I came here. This was my dream location. Can you believe it? So I did. I packed up a U-Haul, and I moved here with 3 kids. My dad helped me pack the U-Haul, and we drove up here, and I bought a house in Ithaca. I had, been saving my money from real estate and stuff. So I bought a house in Ithaca. And my kids and I moved in. We had 4 acres. The lot that I had in Rhode Island was, I think this room was bigger, it was really tiny. You don't get land out there. So I had 4 acres and a pond and a barn, and we got horses, and it was amazing. It was really great. And the point to all this is all of this happened because I decided to get off the couch that day and go to that workshop. That's where it all started. So we're going to go over some great relationship stuff tonight, and I hope that this is the workshop that inspires you. So let's get started, shall we? So the first thing that we have, oh, by the way, also, when I got here, the very first person I met, my current husband. I didn't really like him that much at first either. He was the first person I met when I moved here. His kid was friends with my kid, and he brought the boys over for a band, for a party that we had, and blah, blah, blah. And we got to know each other, and I kind of thought he was a little jerky. I didn't really like him, but after being close friends for a couple of years, we started dating, and now that's my husband's dad. So I'm sure I'll have a story or two about him too. But if you could grab this sheet, we're going to start with this one. Again, if anyone has any questions at any time, please feel free to ask. So one of the things that I did at that workshop that I went to with Jarek Robbins was the wheel of life. And that's what this wheel is. I borrowed that from him. So I'm going to show you how to fill out the whole thing, but all you have to do right now tonight is to fill out the relationship portion of it, but I'll show you how it works. So you have the wheel, and you have all these different components of your life. And for the relationship one, what you're going to do, or it says significant other romance. So you're going to put a line across in that piece of pie, and you're going to gauge it how you feel. So if it's closer to the outside, it's a 10, meaning my significant other romance relationship is awesome. I mean, we are playing full out. We've got passion, love. Everything feels great. You put the line across up here, okay? If it's a 1, down here, 5 here. Does that make sense? You get it? So just go ahead and do that. And then anytime, you don't have to do it now, but anytime you want, you take this paper with you, and you can fill out the rest of the circle too. So if you're feeling really great about your finances, oh yeah, my job's awesome, making lots of money, you put the line out here, but then maybe say your physical environment is literally that, your physical environment, home, clothes, knowing that you have shelter, things like that. If that's really like, I'm not sure, maybe you put it here, So as you put these lines, and again, you don't have to do it now, you can if you want to, but as you put these lines around your circle, unless you're all the way out on the outside of everything, you see that it's hard to get momentum with a wheel that's like that. It's not going to roll, right? The wheel isn't going to roll if it's all jig-jaggy. So the idea is to start to improve. As a life coach, I work with people to improve every aspect of their life. I specialize in relationships. I work with, I forgot to tell you guys this part, but I work with parents and children, and I work with couples who are having challenges in their relationship, and I teach them the tools to make it better. And I also work with teenagers in crisis too, and we're going to kind of touch on kids too tonight, because relationships are about everybody. It's not just your spouse, it's about the relationship, the parent-child relationship, the relationship you have with your adult parents, that kind of stuff. So, did everyone do that? Does everyone have their line on their significant other, partner, spouse thingy? Great. So we're going to go ahead and get started right into the 6 human needs. So if you guys, does everyone have a pen or something to write with? If not, Sarah might have some extras there in one of the bags. Or in the top of my backpack maybe. Here. I think it's in here. Like in that front zipper, I think there's pens. So we're going to get right into the 6 human needs. And the 6 human needs is, I work with human needs psychology. And human needs psychology teaches us that every single person on earth, no matter who you are, where you are, anything, every single human on earth has these same 6 human needs. They're not good, they're not bad, every single person has them. And once you understand these 6 human needs, you kind of understand why people do things, why they say the things they do. I did a workshop called, Why the Hell Did I Say That? Because have you ever thought, like, why did I say that? I didn't really mean that. Well, this will give you a deeper understanding of why we say and do things, right? So the human needs are these. The first is for certainty. Okay, I'm just going to write them down quick, and then we'll go through each one. The second is for variety. Okay. The third is for significance. The fourth is for love and connection. Now, these 4 needs are primal. The next 2 needs are for growth and contribution. These 2 needs are the needs of your spirit. Okay? Can everybody see all right? So we'll get right into certainty, and then besides explaining them, I'm also going to tell you guys how they can be met in positive and negative ways. Once you realize how to meet them in positive ways, you can help other people, especially children, who might be meeting them in negative ways. So the first need for certainty is exactly that: certainty, stability, security, feeling like everything's okay, like I have a roof over my head, I'm not in need, my needs are met, my creature comforts, that kind of thing. You know, wanting to know, like, you can put gas in the car and pay your bills and you have a job, that kind of thing. Stability. You know, everybody needs that on some level. Okay? Does that make sense? So then variety is just the opposite of that. Adventure, excitement, that kind of thing, right? I have a high need for variety. I like that kind of stuff. And then significance is for feeling important. That's not a bad thing. Everybody needs to feel important. Everybody needs to feel needed at some point, or like they're respected. And then love and connection is for love from a partner or a spouse or even a dog or a cat. You know, that connection, that love that you feel for friends and animals and Facebook friends or whatever it is, right? So that connection. Even coworkers, unless you don't like them, then you don't want that. So then there's growth, and growth is growing beyond yourself. Like things like this, workshops, learning new things. Like you said, going to another workshop and doing this, doing that. Reading books, learning new things. And then contribution, that's giving beyond yourself. Volunteering, you know, it's not just about giving money, resources, time, your Parents, if any of you are parents, that's a contribution that you make to your children, right? So does that all make sense? So most people value one and or two of these highest more than anything else, right? So what I'd like you guys to do is to think about what your top two needs. And again, none are bad, none are wrong. It's whatever you feel. Some people will put certainty above everything else. They want, more than anything else, they need to feel secure. I need to feel secure and stable. And if I don't, it's really hard for me to have these other things. Do you know what I mean? Or some people need to feel love and connection. So go ahead and write in what your top 1 and 2, what you think they are. Excuse me. Just to give you an example while you guys are doing it, for a long time, my highest need was for variety. And back then, when I was a single mother, I needed variety a lot because my life was exactly the same all the time, you know. Morning, noon, and night. Wake up, take care of the kids, work all day, come home exhausted, go to bed. And I was tired, and I needed some variety. And as a single mother, it's not like I was dating. I didn't have this great, amazing nightlife or anything, you know what I mean? So I was forgetting to be also a woman and appreciated by a man, or just to have some attention sometimes, you know. We as women need that. So, and men need that too, everybody does, but variety was really big for me, and sometimes I would just want to get in my car and just go for a road trip, just to get away, you know, because I needed something, just something different. That's not my biggest thing now, and these needs can change at any time. You know, if all of a sudden your need for variety is your life becomes really chaotic or something, then you're like, okay, enough, thanks, sorry I asked for it, you know, and then maybe your need becomes something else. Like right now, personally, my biggest need is for contribution. My whole goal, my whole life, my entire life has been dedicated to philanthropy. Since I was born, I have been bringing home stray animals, bringing home stray kids. Since I've lived here in New York for the past few years, I've brought 3 homeless kids into my house. You know, so my biggest need is for contribution. I work with teens in crisis. I never turn a child away if they can't pay or their parents can't pay. So that's something that makes me feel really great. That's my top need right now. That's what I do. And then my second one is for love and connection. I don't think that'll ever change. You know, that's always a high need for me. I need to feel connected with people. I love people. That's why when I get here, you know, if you guys are smiling and nodding and things like that, I know I'm doing a good job. And I appreciate that validation, so thank you. Is anyone brave enough to share what their top need is? Anybody? We won't get picked apart at all, I promise. Certainty. Yeah. And how do you feel if that's not happening? Mhm. That's wonderful. Mhm. Yeah, and that happened when you were a child, that you ran out of electricity and things like that when you were growing up. Yeah, so things like that can really scare a child and make certainty become one of your top ones, because and I don't know your circumstance, so this is hypothetical, but I know Dad and Mom were terrified and they were freaking out and they didn't know what to do, and they always put us first, but I could tell that they were scared, and it was a very scary situation. And things like that can really create our needs for us and what we value most. Sure. Mhm. Yeah. And so what I'm hearing her say too is that created who I am today, and I will never, you heard her, I will never not pay my bills. My bills are always paid. So that created that high need for certainty. And again, none of these are good or bad, they just are. It's just how we are as people, right? So, but once we get into it a little more, you'll start to understand too how, if I were to run over to her and freak out, do something chaotic, it might startle her, because she likes certainty. I like things the way they are. So you know how to interact with other people, especially our partners, better, right? Does that make sense? Does anyone else want to share what theirs is? Sure. Love and connection. Sure. And that's exactly, I'm so glad you said that. Thank you. And I honor your bravery because not everybody wants to say that. But that's a beautiful thing what you said. I want everyone to hear that. Everyone's relationships are what's most important. In the end, all we ever care about, not the job, not the money, not the car, not the house, not the nothing, except those we are close to. You know, in moments of tragedy or disaster, we don't think, oh God, I got to go find my purse. That's a Coach bag. I paid $300 for it. No, it's Sarah. Come on, we're gonna, it's Steam let's go. Call my husband. Call my kids. Or it's never the stuff. It's always the people that we're connected to. And unfortunately, we saw, with tragedy, we see that all the time. People step up and people do amazing things and they help each other, and that's so beautiful. There's always been good things that come out of even tragedies. And the good thing is that we see people who love other people and who want to be connected. And so, yeah, I can see that, why you would put that first if you're single, absolutely. Starting to understand these things, too, when we are single people, we can start to make better choices for who our mate will be. Because, and I know I've done it back in my previous life before New York, New York's like my new life. So, but in my previous life, did I make the same choices in my relationships? Absolutely. And then the same mistakes keep happening? Absolutely. And then I keep saying, them, they're stupid, it's not me. Well, I'm the one that keeps choosing the wrong person for me because I didn't understand myself, let alone other people. Does that make sense? So as single people, we can learn to make better choices for ourselves too, which is very valuable. Yes? That's right. That's right. Exactly. You always got to live with yourself. You always got to live with yourself. And I, as a life coach, I sometimes get harsh with my clients. I do, and I'll say, who is this about? Because nobody holds you back. Nobody tells you can't do this or that. It's only you. What is the story you're telling yourself? Because for a long time, my story was, I'm too tired. I'm a single mom. I got 3 jobs. I'm too tired. And who wouldn't feel bad for me? You know what I mean? And yeah, I was busting my butt. I was getting by. I was on my own and I was doing it. But I was tired all the time, and I wasn't happy. So nobody was holding me back. It certainly wasn't my husband at the time, now my ex-husband. It was me. And when I got off the couch that day and started my new life, that's when I realized I forgot. Just forgot. So it's okay to forget, but it's really good to remember, So, okay, where were we? Oh, does anyone else want to share? Anyone real quick? That's okay. Oh, sure. Okay, sure. So love and connection and then maybe growth second. Yeah. Growth and contribution are needs of the spirit. And when we start to talk about how to meet each need in a good and bad way, we'll talk about kids. Now, kids in general, and I don't mean just to 18, but even young adults, most of them have their top needs right here because it's a more mature person that starts to put growth and contribution at the top. Because it's age appropriate for teenagers especially to only think about themselves, right? I mean, babies are born and they're beautiful and we love them, but they're extremely selfish. It's about feed me, change me, take care of me, and there's nothing that they're giving back. Yeah, you love them, but they're not saying I love you. You know what I mean? They're born selfish, and we got to kind of beat that out of them in the long run, right? So it's very age appropriate for young people to fall into these categories until they evolve. Now, some are doing this, and we can teach them that, but again, it's totally normal if they're falling here, right? So let's go ahead and get into each one and how we can meet them in good and negative ways, okay? So for certainty, some of the things that we can do, like you said, is pay our bills, right? avoid things that are going to cause us stress, like overdue bills, or we can practice, for example, like tonight coming here. I got here a half hour early. We were out shopping and stuff, but I said I got to come in half hour and give myself that comfort zone so that I can prepare. So if you're really high certainty driven, you'll want to prepare for things. Practice mantras. Does anyone know what a mantra is? The things that you say over and over and over. Oh, and as a side note too, think about the things that you're saying over and over and over, because your mantras are true. So even if you don't know you're saying it, if you're saying all the time, I'm not good enough, or I'm overweight, or nobody loves me, or I could never, you're right. Your brain is a computer, and it has to make your environment fit what it's hearing. So just like a calculator, 1 plus 1 will always be 2, your brain will always make your environment fit what you're saying to it, right? So make your mantras positive. Even if you can't say, I can do this, I can't, whatever, at least use preferential language. So if I can't, I'll just use me for example. If I can't say, I know I'm going to rock that workshop, man, it's going to be awesome, which I did say that. But if I couldn't say that, I could at least use some preferential language like this. I would prefer that my workshop be awesome. But if it's not, that's okay too. Doesn't mean that I suck. Maybe it means the audience sucks. So using mantras, talking to ourselves and saying, I'm going to work, I'm paying my bills, I got this, I can handle it. Those are things that will make a person who's certainty-driven feel really comfortable. Does that make sense? So some of the things that you can do to meet the need for certainty in negative ways, and again, I'm not a person, I'm like uber positive. I'm not the type that wants to focus on anything negative at all, but this is a learning experience, and I want to share this with you guys so you can understand, and especially when you can understand relationships with children that are in your lives as well. So drugs. Some of the kids, I work with a lot of underprivileged children, and some of the kids that get involved in drugs have a high need for certainty. Their lives are chaotic. They're full of stress and strain. They may have a parent. They may not have any parents. One of the children that I took into my house was literally living on the street. He was sleeping on park benches and in storefronts. And I said, no, you're not. You're coming with me. And I took him. I'm not a foster parent. I just took him off the street, He was one of my students, and he came to live with me. And now I'm still kind of his guardian. So, and he doesn't live with me anymore. He's doing amazing, but that's another story. Anyway, kids will try drugs, and adults too will try drugs to make themselves feel like, in my chaotic world, I want to have some control, so I'm doing this. Control freaks. I know nobody in this room is a control freak, but you must know somebody who is, right? Somebody who wants to micromanage. Sir, you're not holding that paper the right way. Could you please do it this way? Ma'am, really, you're not sitting the right way. Let's just do this. Oh, you forgot that note. Write it down. Write it down. It's important. Somebody who wants, and hover parents. I know nobody here is a hover parent, but the hover parents that are like, do it this way. Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do the cat box? Did you do your homework? How's that test going? Don't worry, I got it all under control. Somebody like that who hovers and a control freak who wants to be in charge of everything. That's somebody who's really trying very hard to have things put their way because they're certainty-driven. That's a negative way to meet your need for certainty. Does that make sense? Unfortunately, some young people, especially young girls these days, are cutting themselves. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Girls who cut themselves, it's a thing for certainty because they feel so out of control in their world that they want to have some control, so they'll do that. And then manipulation, we all know people that have manipulated or lied or whatever. That's somebody who's trying to mold their world to be the way they want it, no matter what. And they'll do it at any expense, even go against their core values, okay? Because we all start out with some pretty decent core values, but we will let go of those to meet our needs, okay? Does that make sense? So the second thing for variety, this is where my young men come into it too, when they're meeting needs in bad ways. But some of the ways to meet variety in good ways is by being exciting, having fun, doing something spontaneous, going on a road trip. meeting your partner. If you have a partner, John, you look like a guy who's variety driven. So if your partner is variety driven and they want to have fun, as soon as they come home the door, you're not going to say, "Did you pay that electric bill? Oh my God, we don't have any peanut butter. You got to go back to the store. The kids need to go to the dentist, and Johnny failed, and the car needs a muffler, and the dog died. It's all bad." And he's like, "Holy hell," you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Like, I just want to run. I just want to go have some fun. I don't want you telling me what to do. I don't want you to guide everything. I don't want you to come in and just give me all this stuff. I just want to go play Xbox, or whatever. So, understanding your partner and their needs, and if your partner is certainty driven too, you're not going to come home and say, "No, I didn't pay that electric bill. It's sitting on my desk. I'll get to it whenever." You're going to be like, "Oh, holy hell, you're going to go pay that bill right now. You're not going to let that bill go. It's only 2 days late." 2 days late? What are you saying? You know what I mean? That might send you into a tailspin. So understanding these needs really helps you interact with one another a lot better, right? So some of the ways so there's being spontaneous, there's sports, getting involved in martial arts, that kind of stuff. Those are great ways, bike riding, hiking, climbing, whatever it is. Those are some great healthy ways to meet your need for variety, right? And then some of the bad ways to meet your need for variety, again, we're going to talk about drugs. Even though you can meet them for certainty, it's also variety. Because you may think, or the kid may think, or whomever, they're going to get high because they know what's going to happen. It's also dangerous and risky. So they're meeting their need for variety with that too. Another side note, if you meet any 3 or more of your needs with one activity, it's an addiction. Okay, so let me say that again. 3 or more of these needs get met with one thing, it's an addiction. Okay, so for example, our drug addict is meeting their need for certainty because they know they're going to get high. They're meeting their need for variety because it's dangerous, risky behavior. They're meeting their need for significance because you have no idea what it's like. I'm a drug addict. You don't know. It's self-importance, It's very self-focused. It's not self-aware, but it's self-focused. So you're meeting your need for significance. And you might be needing your need for connection with other addicts, with your dealer. Who knows? Not level. You're not meeting a high level of love, but you're definitely connected to other people. That's an addiction. That's 4 needs being met by one thing. Okay? So variety, some people, especially young people, gangs, affairs in a relationship. And again, let me just state really quickly that these are some of the ways that people meet their need in negative ways. They're not excuses. Not an excuse at all, right? We all make dumb choices sometimes, but it's not an excuse. So sometimes people will go out of their relationship and have an affair because they're bored. Well, everything was exactly the same, and my wife is really high need for certainty, and I needed some excitement. I couldn't stand it anymore. Again, not an excuse at all, but it gives us a deeper understanding of why people do things and what motivates their behavior. Right? It makes sense? So then we have significance, and some of the ways we can meet our needs for significance in a good way is by getting praise. Praising each other for our schoolwork or our work, or thank you so much. You go out every day and work and provide for our family. Thank you, husband. Hey, that kind of stuff. Making, especially men in general, in my experience, I've found coaching, most men have a high need for significance. Everybody has all of these needs, but men in particular want to feel like they're respected, like thanked and praised. Like, you've done a good job. Thank you, man. Thank you, husband, whatever. Also helping others makes us feel important too. When we do things to care for other people, that makes us feel really important. And then making other people feel important makes us feel important. So the example I used this morning was I had a student who had this huge need, very high level need for significance. Total drama king, right? And he needed to feel important, like the center of attention at all times. As a result of that behavior, he was socially awkward and people didn't want to be around him. So, 9th grade young man, nice kid, but it's hard to be around somebody that needs that much attention, right? So I told him, the best way that you can start feeling like you're part of the crowd and get some attention and feel good is by doing exactly what you want to other people. I said, so next time you go into class, I want you to go up to somebody and say, wow, that's a really pretty blouse you have on. Oh, hi, Mr. Teacher. Can I help you pass out papers or do something, whatever? Oh, and hi, I really liked the way you played in PE today or whatever. I said, go through and compliment people, not falsely. Don't make stuff up. But if you notice something like, wow, you have really nice eyes, tell somebody. Tell them that. How are you going to feel? So he comes in the next day. How do you think he felt? He felt great. He felt great. He's like, everyone is really nice to me. I'm like, that's because you were really nice to them. Because you took the focus off of you and you put it on other people. And we all have to focus on ourselves sometimes, of course, but when we put other needs, especially our partners, when we put their needs first, we get rewarded for that. So that's how he met his need for significance. And he learned that. He learned how to feel good, right? So some of the ways that people will meet their need for significance, and again, nobody here does this, is creating drama. Does anybody know a drama queen? Yeah, or a drama king, right? Sometimes I'm a little dramatic. Not in a bad way, though, right? But, people are like, OMG. Those people, oh, my God, I got to tell you this story. We all know people like that who can't wait. Do you know the people who, if I tell one person, everyone else will know? Like, oh, I'll just tell her, and I don't tell anybody else. That's your people. That's your person who needs high levels of significance, right? Creating drama, or, oh my God, it was the worst thing ever. I stubbed my toe, and the doctor said it was the worst stubbed toe he'd ever seen in his whole life. You know those people, right? Yeah. So that's somebody that has a high level need for significance, and they're going to get that met one way or another. So attention seeking, drug addiction, gangs, kids who join gangs are wanting to feel important. I know of a person who was a young person who was bullied, feeling like crap. The family circumstances were appalling, and they got involved in the gang. Why? They felt important. They felt part of something. They felt connected and important. And that was their family, and nobody ever bullied them after that, because it would be a big problem if they did. And that person felt very significant. And an example that I can use, too, is you're walking down the road, God forbid, and you see somebody, and there's nobody, right? It's me walking down the road or whatever, you don't even think twice about them. But if I put a gun to your head, if I stop and mug you and put a gun to your head, all of a sudden, am I significant to you? Very, 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 very important, right? And that's obviously a dangerous, horrible, risky way for significance and to feel important. It's vitally important that we teach our young people how to meet these needs in a positive way, how to give them praise, how to make them have fun in a safe way, and how to make them always feel stable and safe, right? So they don't go do the... So, one last significance. Again, I'm going to say that a lot, but met like a victim or a martyr. Yeah, seriously, martyr for a while too. I did back when I was a single mom. That was my. I'm a single mom. I work 3. I mean, are you sick of hearing that yet? I'm sick of hearing it years ago. I didn't like my life, but it's all I had. It was my story, right? I was a martyr. And we have martyrs and we have victims in relationships too. So real quick, I'm going to just divert a little bit, but on the bottom of your sheet here, it says 3 relations, interdependent. And a dependent relationship is the victim. It's me, 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 all about me. So a person who's dependent is, you got to do for me, and if you don't do for me, screw you. I don't even want to be part of this. You're going to provide for me. You will take care of me. It's all about me. I don't care what your needs are. This is what I need. It's about what I need right now. That's somebody who's dependent upon you, dependent upon the relationship. It's very unhealthy. It can't survive for very long. It can survive for some time, but eventually the other person gets sick of taking care of a dependent person, unless it's your child, you know. And then there's independent, which is where I was for a long time, a lot of years. I'm independent, don't worry, I got this. You know, you go off and do your thing, I don't care. I'm going to take care of everything. I got the 3 kids, I got the 3 jobs, I'm paying my bills, I'm paying my mortgage payment, I'm fixing the car when it needs it, I'm doing everything, and don't you worry, please, don't mow the grass. Really, I got this. So that's somebody who's independent, right? That's your martyr. Significance. You know, how important did I feel? And then anyone else who's like that too. Me, 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 don't worry about it. It's very selfish, very self-focused. And then there's interdependent, and that's where we want our relationships to be. Your needs are my needs. I put your needs first all the time, and I know that you also put my needs first. And John, if you feel like crap today, I'm really worried about you. I feel really bad. Is there anything I can do for you? You know, your needs are so important to me that I want to make sure that you're taken care of, you know? So that's what an interdependent relationship is. When both parties are being interdependent and taking care of one another's needs, who doesn't feel amazing? Now, let me tell you something. In a relationship, when all of these needs are being met, like an addiction, it's a good thing, right? So if your partner is making you feel all of these things, fail-proof relationship. What could possibly happen? Who's going to say, oh yeah, my husband's sad? What a jerk. He always takes care of me, pays our bills, I have this great, amazing house. He takes me out on these wonderful vacations and little getaways. He sends me little cute text messages. He sent me hugs before I got here. Boy, he made me feel important. Great job. Ooh, you rock. Whatever. Tells me he loves me. We grow as a person because we read together, we study together. Oh, and we also donate our money. Blah, blah. And he lets me bring home children, too, randomly. He's a jerk. Who would say that, right? Somebody's meeting all your needs. You feel great. You don't want to get away from them. I didn't even drive in here. I'm like, oh, why can't you come? I want you to be here with me, you know. And he's like, I want to go. It's going to be so awesome. But I'm going to watch the YouTube video, so it's okay. You know, you don't want to be away from somebody who's meeting all your needs at a high level. And you're certainly not going to go and have an affair or do drugs or join a gang or whatever. I mean, you guys are a team and you're interdependent. Your needs are one another's needs. So you're playing on a high level. Does that make sense? Sorry for the diversion there. So, okay, where were we? We were on, significance. So let's move on to love and connection. So love and connection, love is when you're meeting that need at a high level, like with a partner, right? When you love somebody, you love your parents, you love your children, you love your partner. You know, partner, whatever, your spouse, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And some of the ways that you can meet your needs for love and connection is by meeting new people. And even Facebook, social media, those kinds of things. I love my Facebook friends. Let me tell you, besides Sarah, who's you can see her and touch her, she's like a real life, not a Facebook friend. I had a real-life Facebook friend here today. It was so exciting. She had to leave, but she was here for the earlier session, Jody. Her and I became friends on Facebook. She's a coach like me, and she drove up here from New York City to come to my first workshop. And we went and had lunch, and she's just lovely. I love her. So that's a wonderful connection that I made. So making connections, you meet people who are coming out. Let me tell you something. You guys all have something in common here. You're all here. You're all interested in learning about relationships, so you could get to know one another. There's a lot of ways to meet your needs for love and connection. Clubs, colleagues, family. There you go. Meeting other people. That's great. So there's also some negative ways to meet your needs for love and connection. And that, again, through affairs, if somebody's not feeling like they're really connected or loved by their spouse, they might go out of the marriage. And again, not an excuse for bad behavior, but it gives you some insight into why these things sometimes happen. So, also, gangs, again, you're meeting your need for love and connection. You're connected to a group of people. Lies, manipulations. People will lie to another person to keep them in a relationship sometimes, and that's a negative way to meet your need for connection. And the story I told this morning, I watched this documentary. I should have looked up that guy's name because I still don't remember, but I watched this documentary about this guy from New York City, and he's like 90 now, but they told his story, Jack Bear or something like that. But anyway, his story, he's an amazing guy, and he did all these great things, but he had one great love in his life. And that was the woman he was having an affair with for 17 years, because he got married in like the 30s or whatever it was, and the woman that he married never told him that she couldn't have children, and she knew she couldn't. And so a couple of years went by after they were married, and he was talking to her mother and said something about like, I can't believe the children haven't come yet. And the mother said, what are you talking about? You know, she's like, well, she can't have children. He's like, well, what are you talking about? And he went to her and he said, why didn't you tell me this? She said, because I know you wouldn't have married me. Yeah, and they stayed married, and they had an agreement. You go do whatever you want, just don't divorce me. And then in the early 70s, I think it was, she died. She passed away, and he had this long-term, like 17 years affair with this other woman. And like as soon as the woman died, the wife died, he married the woman he had an affair with. And so he spent all of that time, like in a relationship that was unhappy, and he stayed because values were a little different back then, and they weren't going to get divorced and things like that. So he stayed unhappy for a long time because of a lie, and a manipulation. So sometimes, and I see this a lot with the young girls that I work with too, promiscuity is rampant because they want to be loved, and they're mistaking connection for love, So they'll use their bodies because they can attract somebody, and somebody pays attention to them, and they feel good, and they'll do whatever it takes so that they feel important and special and loved in that connection. It's not healthy, but they're doing it. And again, people will meet their needs one way or another, whether it's good or bad. So it's vitally important that we learn how to meet our needs in a positive way and teach our young people also. So, well, they're all connected. Sometimes certainty, when people especially who are certainty driven, if they make connections, they want them so badly to stay at all times. They're so afraid, they're fearful that their world is going to get rocked, that they can become too much. Do you know what I mean? So what I find, what I tell people is to just allow it. Control is just an illusion. I work with a lot of people who need to feel certainty, right? And the first thing I say to them is control is just an illusion. Nobody has control. We saw 2 days ago, we don't have control. If any of us had control, bad things wouldn't happen, ever. We don't have control. And as much as I love my husband and I love my children, when I send them out each day to school, anything could happen. God forbid, but it could. And that's reality, right? That's reality. So when we practice I practice detachment, and that just means that we let go of things and we realize, even though it's scary, and it's especially scary to these people, we have no control. Just let things be. Let things organically evolve. Let relationships happen. We're not going to lie to people to make relationships happen because it won't be a quality relationship. What would you rather do? Live with somebody miserable for 50 years that's having an affair on you? Or get divorced, get through that, and move on and have some quality of life, right? So somebody who has a high need for certainty needs to learn to let go. We just have to let go of things, because the tighter you hold on, the more it doesn't want to be there. Has anyone ever picked up an animal that's like, get off me, lady? Like, really? You know, you've seen the commercial, I'm going to love it and hug it and squeeze it. And the cat's like, get off of me, kid, you know? That's what happens because people don't want that. You know, you just got to be yourself and relax into it. And trust the universe that love and connection will come to you. And you have to realize, too, we all have relationships. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're single or not. Every single person has relationships of some sort, whether it's a friend, a neighbor. It takes time to cultivate those things, but you can do it, right? And again, fear. You know, fear plays into a lot of it. You know, back then, before I went to Toronto, got off my couch and went to Toronto, a lot of my stuff was fear. That's why I had the story. That's why I'm tired all the time. I'm a single mom, 3 kids. You don't know what it's like, blah, blah, blah. Because I was afraid. I was afraid to try something and move on. I might fail at it, right? That would be horrible. I could die from failure. No, absolutely not. Yeah. Sure. Yay, thank you.
I understand deeply the concept of letting go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's taken a lot of hard work and focus. And I have a tough time dividing myself between this hocus-pocus idea of throwing it back to the universe, which I joke, I do believe in it to a certain extent, and disengaging the part of me that's very focused and driven and saying, you know what, I can control this, I can figure this out, and I can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. Speak a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, has it ever failed? Have you ever not been able to control anything yet?
Of course.
And how did that work? How did you feel?
Specifically, like in a certain circumstance?
Sure.
Well, it's good, I guess.
Was it the end of the world?
No, of course not.
Did you figure something else out? So there's just balance there. You know, I'm not saying let go of everything. The world's going to guide you. That's not fruity-tooty, you know what I mean? But what I am saying is that you don't have control over anything as much as we think we do. Yeah, work hard. Absolutely, I work hard. I'm kind of a workaholic, kind of. My husband is too, so it works out really well. We share an office, so it's really cute. But anyway, yeah, work hard. Have goals. Work towards things. But if it doesn't work out, don't stop. Don't cry over it. Something else is coming, right? And you've seen that.
I guess more specifically, I believe that we're always when we're working towards something, we never quite realize how close we are to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough because, you know, when you're talking about working towards something that you believe is worthwhile, per se, a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like building a business. You're going to fail 100 times before you figure it out. Where do you draw the line between saying that maybe I'll build a different business or I'll keep trying?
Well, sure. And that's a good point. And there's a difference between what you're saying with building a business and building a relationship. And the difference is when you're building the business, that's you. Only I can never tell you. And as a coach, I work with people all the time, and I say, I'll tell you what I would do. I'll tell you what I think you should do. But I want you to really do what you should do. And if you really feel like I've got this, I know this in my gut, keep going. Absolutely. I don't care if you fail 1,000,000 times. You keep going. But when it comes to a relationship, how long do I keep going? This isn't just about you. It's about the other person. So if you're like, well, you know, she hates me, but I'm going to keep trying, I'm going to keep trying, that's not about her at all. It's about you. It's being selfish. And I'm not picking on you. I know that's not what you're talking about specifically, but okay, well then I will pick on you. Yeah, so that's when the relationship isn't about meeting her needs. Because you'll meet your partner's needs if you love them. Love is unconditional. It says it right here. So because it's in black and white, it's true. Right? True love is honest. Love is something you do. It's not something that you feel. Okay? Real love is unconditional. So I love my husband enough, honestly, God, I'm so glad I don't really have to do this, because I would be a wreck. But if my husband really was like, this isn't working for me, I can't be with you, I would let him go. It would crush me. I would feel like crap. But I would really, truly want him to be happy. I really, really, truly love him and value him and would want the best for him. And I can tell you, too, that when we let things go, that's generally when the other person thinks, wow, they really do care about me. They really do put my needs first. And that's usually when they come back. You know? So if somebody's telling you, look, you're not the guy for me, it's not going to work out. We don't continue to call. We don't stalk their Facebook page. We don't send them messages. We don't send them text messages. And, you know, we say, okay, I value you. Thank you. I value you as a person, and I love you. And I'll be here because I really heartfelt love you, and I want to be with you. But I'm willing to step back because I care about you enough to let you go. And that's hard. And we do that as parents. I don't know if you have children, but, you know, when my children move out, and two of them, I'll tell you the story after, but Thad and I have 6 children. So, yeah, 3 are his, 3 are mine, but they're all mine, you know. So, and the 2 oldest, and our kids are all the same ages. But anyway, I know, right? So the 2 oldest ones have moved out now. And as much as a parent, like, I miss my daughter, I really do, and we text all the time, and she sends me Facebook messages, and she posts on my wall, and it's all so cute and everything. And I really miss her. But holding her back at home because I miss her and I love her would be very, very selfish. It would be very self-focused. It wouldn't be self-aware. So when I say detachment, I don't mean don't care about things, don't love them. I mean don't control them. Because, again, control is just an illusion. You really don't have any. And if you try to, you're just going to break your own heart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, at work, obviously, if we're in charge of things, we have to do things. You know, you're not going to sit in your office and rake your Zen garden and meditate on your desk. Your boss is going to say, you're fired, get out. You know, you've got to do stuff. But in your relationship, you don't have any control. You know, you don't. You can't. I can stand here and tell you everything, and I know that my husband's home taking care of the kids, but if he's out, like, you know, doing God knows what, I have no way of controlling that. It's out of my hands. It's out of my hands what my husband does, what my kids do, what any of you guys do, what my friends do. I don't have that luxury of control. When you can accept it, acceptance is the thing that frees you. Accepting that. So this morning, my friend, the one who drove up here, and she said I could tell it, so it's okay. So her husband, she sends me a message last week on Facebook, and she says, I am so pissed. I've had enough. He cut down my bushes. I'm like, what? Really? She's like, you don't understand. It's the bushes that line my property, so when I get out of the swimming pool, the neighbors can't see me, and he chopped down all my bushes. Why would he chop down my bushes? And she's like, what do I do? I said, keep getting angrier. Keep getting angry because that'll fix it all. That's going to make it all better. Get angry and yell at him. That's going to make the bushes come back. You watch. She's like, all right, fine. Whatever. I get your point. I said, well, Jody, sweetie, the bushes are gone. You know, and I get that your feelings are hurt, and that's valid. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel like disappointed, like that's not what I would have done. But tell me how this is going to make your bushes come back. It's not, you know. So control yourself. The only thing that you have any control over in this entire world is yourself and your reaction to things and your attitude and your opinion towards things, right? It's hard. It's not something I wish I could. I wish I could hand you this magic wand and say, here you go. You're perfect. Cured. It's not that easy. It takes practice. And, people don't want to practice. I'm a coach. I had posted a picture the other day. My friends all loved it. And it said, when you're angry and you've tried everything, try doing what your coach told you to do first. Right? So it takes practice. It takes practice. Here's a perfect example. My husband and I just bought our dream house. It's here in Port Byron. Well, not here, but I guess that's kind of close, right? So, because I live in Ithaca now. So we found our dream home. It's in Port Byron. It's gorgeous. It's big. It's beautiful, Victorian. It's right on the water. Everything we wanted, right? I'm so excited. So our old house is for sale. So the realtor texted me the other day, can we show your house on Monday at 6? Sure, great. All weekend long, man. I'm telling you, I'm a neat freak. I'm cleaning. Come on, kids, let's go. We got to do this. Wash this, clean this, make your beds, move the cat. So get everything done, right? The next day, the house is spotless. I'm like, don't mess anything up. Let's keep it clean. We're going to sell our house, The realtor texts, they can't make it tonight. They're going to come on Thursday instead. Oh, my God. It's the first time I took a breath in like a day and a half. I've been cleaning, right? And I'm thinking, oh, my goodness. And I'm like, well, that's okay because I've got this. I went to the Women's Expo yesterday, and then Wednesday I've got to go to Syracuse and teach this class. I'm like, that's not a big deal. But first, I got kind of mad. I was like, well, that sucks. I'm working my butt off. I'm going to text her right now and say, well, thanks a lot. I know it's not your fault, but geez, I've been really working my butt off and the house is clean. And I thought, well, I'm not really angry. Why would I text this? I'm actually not angry. In fact, it gives me more time to prepare for Tuesday. I'm going to this expo, and Wednesday, I'm like, but I thought about texting her, and I'm like, why did I do that? I had to really think about it. Why did I want my reaction to be anger? Why? Because it's a habit. It was just a habit. Well, I've done all this work, so I should tell her, I'm holding you accountable, dumb realtor. Been working my butt off. I'm like, that's stupid. What's that going to do? It's not going to solve anything. And so I didn't, and I thought about it. I'm a coach. I'm not perfect either. Sometimes I get a little crazy. So I didn't, but I thought about that, and I'm like, boy, my first reaction was that I wanted to be angry. Then I realized I just wasn't, so why would I bother? But we get angry out of habit. So here's a little, if I can remember how it goes. So you go to a restaurant. You've all been invited to a restaurant. You've got to be there tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. So you get there, and your friend who invited you, you're sitting there, you're like, I'll get a table, and I'll wait for them. 7 o'clock. The friend doesn't show up. 7:10. No friend. You're looking at your watch. 7:10. 7:15. 7:30, no friend. This is before cell phones, so you can't call. Now it's 8 o'clock. What are you thinking? Ditch. What is it? Something's wrong. Order dinner. I'm not waiting. Is anybody angry? Is anybody thinking, that jerk stood me up? You know what I mean? Whatever you thought, and honestly thought, and you don't have to say it, but that's what, everyone has a go-to emotion. Everyone has one that they just kind of go to, like your comfort emotion. Some people it's anger, some people it's anxiety, some people it's frustration, some people it's worry. Oh my God, what's going on? Some people it's me, they didn't show up because they don't really like me, they're not really a friend, low self-esteem or confidence. That's your first, whatever you thought, that's your first emotion. That's your go-to emotion, and that's what you'll do every time. So not just when the friend doesn't show up for dinner, but when the realtor texts, or when you get the call from work, or when this or that, or when the husband cuts your bushes down, or whatever, that's your go-to thing. That is a habit. That's something we've learned to do, and we can unlearn it too. Believe me, I didn't come misinspired positivity overnight. I wish somebody had given me that magic wand, and I'm working on it, but I haven't gotten it yet. So, does that kind of answer your questions? I'm looking at the time back here. Wow. Okay. Okay. So let's get back to this. Where were we? Oh, love and connection. We did love and connection. So growth and contribution are needs of the spirit, and growth is growing better, not bitter. There's really no bad ways to meet your growth because there is no bad growth. You know what I mean? Unless you're growing bitter and you're not growing better. Growth is doing things like this, learning things, learning stuff about yourself too. We're always growing and evolving. If a plant stops growing, what does it do? It dies. We're the same way. You know, we're organic matter. If we're not growing, we're dying. So we're learning things. We're aging. We're becoming wiser. We're going to workshops. We're reading books. We're learning about our partners, right? And contribution just means giving beyond yourself. I challenge every single person in here to go and do an act of kindness and feel bad about yourself. You just can't. You can't feel bad about yourself when you're doing something kind or philanthropic for somebody else. It's impossible, you know. So making a contribution and giving, and if you do this as a couple, you're growing together. So can you guys see how this is valuable information, getting to know your partners and the other people, relationships in your life? Yeah? Okay, so again, these are the primal needs. These are the needs of the spirit. We've gone way over an hour. I'm really sorry, you guys. But so I'll just kind of finish up. Yay, they like it. Awesome. I would love to. Has anyone ever thought about like being locked in a store? Like how exciting that would be? Really? Oh my God. Did you stay overnight? Wow. That would be exciting to me because I'm variety driven, right? Oh my goodness. Wow. I always thought that would be so much fun though. I'd try all the products and stuff. I'd like go do my hair. Yeah, it'd be fun, right? So does anyone have any questions about this stuff? Anybody? So we'll cover a few more things too. So on the bottom of your sheet, you'll see, has anyone ever read the Love Languages book? No? By Gary Chapman? Super awesome book. By the way, I'm also an author. I wrote a book, and it's in the publishing process right now. It's being edited. So the love languages are physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts, and quality time. So when we understand what our partner's love language is, we understand what we can do for them to make them feel great, right? So I had a couple who come to a workshop once, and we were talking about understanding each other's love language. And he's like, I just don't understand. She doesn't appreciate me. She doesn't make me feel very important in this relationship at all. And I get up a half an hour before her every morning, and while she's in the shower, I make her an egg sandwich, I brew her coffee, and I'm there to, like, give her breakfast when she comes down. I know, right? See me afterwards. No, just kidding. And she is like, what are you talking about? I just thought you got up every morning to make breakfast, you know, because you're hungry. He's like, no, I get up every morning to make breakfast for you. I'm doing an act of service, of kindness for you because I love you and I want you to have breakfast on your way to work. She's like, all I want is a flowers delivery at work, you know. He's like, flowers? He's like, well, that would have been a lot easier, you know. So the next week, what do you think happens? She gets flowers. And men who are here, or another man back here, women don't want to get flowers at home. They want to get flowers where? Why? So everyone can see them. Right. Women don't want flowers at home. They want them at work. Right. They don't. Exactly. You see that? Exactly. And guys, if you're brave enough, what do men want? Absolutely. They want sex. They do. All men want sex. They want intimacy. And let me tell you something, too. intimacy is vitally important. I'm going to tell you, ladies, it's vitally important to your relationship. Not just because you're making him feel important and he's getting connection, but because there's a chemical reaction that happens when you're intimate with your partner. You know, your body releases hormones and chemicals, and those neurotransmitters make your brain happy. Oxytocin, the love drug, you know what I mean? Serotonin, dopamine. If you're releasing all three of those things, which you do from intimacy, and it doesn't have to just be sex, but everyone should be experiencing intimacy daily with their partners. When my husband comes home, I don't care what I'm doing. I drop everything, I walk over to the door, I hug him, and I kiss him. I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm cooking, clean, it doesn't matter. Nothing is more important than greeting my man when he comes in. That's all. Because it makes him feel good. Who wants to walk in? We've got a lot of kids and a lot of chaos. Besides 6 kids, 4 still at home, we have 3 dogs, 11 chickens, a cat, and a turtle. It's a lot. And 4 houses now, but 2 that we actually, you know, are going in between. 2 are investment. So, no, they're all at the old house with us. Yeah. So we have a lot of stuff going on. Who wants to walk into a home, you hear the kids screaming and the yelling and the this and the that and the chicken fry, you know. I want him to feel like he's welcomed when he comes home. So I drop what I'm doing, I walk over, it takes 5 seconds, I kiss him, hi, how are you? Goes upstairs to the man cave for a little bit and then comes down. You know, it's all about respect and treating each other the way you would want to be treated. And he does the same thing for me when I come home. So it's about putting each other first. And besides putting each other first, too, in that way, we also have a date night once a week. It's not like every Friday or anything like that. We squeeze it in because we have a busy schedule between track practices and tutors and all the stuff. So we get our date night in on whatever night we can. But every single week, we make it happen. And we're a blended family. Does anyone have a blended family here? Step families, things like that? Okay. So blended families can work, and there's a recipe to make them work. Number 1, mom and dad, stepmom and dad, whatever you call yourselves, mom and dad are first, always. Sometimes that's a hard thing for ladies to do because we've had children and we put them first. But the husband, the wife, the spouse, the partner has to come first. Because if you don't build that solid foundation with each other, nothing else is going to stand up. Everything else is going to crumble. Does that make sense? So we always, always, always put each other first. We always make time for each other. And then we do daily discharging. It's not as icky as it sounds. So discharging means that we verbally discharge every day. So we do what's called RC therapy, which is reevaluation counseling. And that's an actual thing. We don't do, the actual thing, but we have based our relationship around this daily discharging. And that means every single day, no matter what, we sit and talk to each other. And I know that sounds so basic, but do you know a couple that doesn't talk to each other? I'm sure. Nobody in this room. But I'm sure you must know people, right? So I know people who the wife comes home, gets on that computer, the husband comes home, where's the remote, gets on the TV, and they're lucky if they even go to bed at the same time, let alone communicate. Dinner's in the oven, help yourself. Wow, that was some really in-depth conversation, So every single day we communicate. And if he's away on a business trip or I'm away, we communicate by phone. It's the same thing. I said, how was your day? Tell me all about it. Well, you're not going to believe this. Oh, my goodness. And this guy and that guy and da-da-da-da. And then I go, tell me about your day. Okay. And I went there and I went this and I did this workshop and the second audience was really awesome. They were all smiling. It was so great. And I tell them all about it. And we never, ever lose that connection because we always know what's going on. And we make time. And sometimes, I'm not perfect, I don't want to talk. I'm mad or I'm upset or I'm hurt by something that happened. Not by him, but something else. Like I'm frustrated. I've had a bad day. The kids have been obnoxious. I need a break. Talk to me. Not right now. Not right now. I'm pissed. talk to me. Okay. You don't know what happened. You know, men need to be present. Women, how many women will say, go away. I don't want to be around you right now. What does that mean? Doesn't mean go away. Usually means, sometimes it does. But it usually means I want you to be strong and present for me, and I want you to stand here and be brave enough to stand here because I might get crazy. Right? Right? Yeah. So men have to be strong and not be afraid and not be pushed away, but we as women have to remember too that, you know, bah, this is scary. You know, guys are like, oh shit, I don't know how to fix it. What do I do? You know, guys like to fix things and they like to make things feel better, right? And if you just stand there and be present and remain present, that's what my husband does, and I told him this a long time ago when I wasn't mad or anything. So just be there and be present, and he'll take me in his arms and hug me, and I'll cry, and I feel better, and I'll say, thank you, I really did need to feel better. Now my husband, on the other hand, when he gets upset and angry, he's like never. He is the most joke cool guy you'd ever want to meet, and I'm like, wah! And he's like, right? Nothing ever gets him mad. So something happened. He was really, really mad. And the only reason I knew was because he went, and he's always smiling, right? Like, what's the matter? Nothing, I'm fine. No, you're not. What's the matter? I'm like scared, What's wrong with you? And he's like, I'm just really frustrated about what happened. I'm like, why don't you discharge about it? He's like, I really don't know what to say. I said, do you want me to discharge about it for you? He's like, yeah, all right, we'll try that. And I'm like, that son of a beep, that jerk. I can't believe he did that to you. How can he show up like that? And how can he do that? And how can he say that to you? That's bullshit. And I was like, oh. He's like, I actually feel better, He's like, that was exactly perfect. I couldn't say that, but you said it perfectly. I'm like, oh, thanks. Glad you feel better. So it's just about reading each other and understanding, what each other wants and being there for each other and putting each other's needs first. He's not going to back down when he knows I need something, even if it means he's got to stand there and be present. So to give you a background about us, so did I tell you he was the first person I met when I moved here? So he was the first person I met, and I thought he was kind of a jerk because I'm a vegetarian and he's not. And I didn't care about that because I don't judge anybody. I could care less what you eat, right? But he hit a bird, like a swallow, in his truck, his big, manly Titan truck, this truck. And he took a picture of it and he posted it on Facebook. I was like appalled. Like, are you kidding me? What's wrong with you? Sick person. Who does that? And he's like, hit a bird. And I was like, really like, that's terrible. How could you do that? I was a total girl about it, like, really? Poor little bird thing, and it's just awful. And I was like, he's a jerk. I don't even want to be his friend anymore. He's really cute, but whatever. I don't care. I don't like him. But we got to be friends because his oldest son and my oldest daughter were friends, and we had to see each other and hang out. And I found out he was really nice, and beneath that, guy was this beautiful person who's so giving and warm. I've never met anyone who gives more than I do, and I'm always like, so there's this kid. He's like, whatever, I'll get the blankets. I'm like, thanks. He understands who I am, and he even if that's not what he would do, he understands and he puts my needs first, and he knows how I am, and I do the same for him. And he's a beautiful person. So we got married, like almost 2 years ago. And we combined our families, so blended family, right? He had 3 kids, I had 3 kids. They're all the same ages. We have 2 18-year-olds, we have 2 15-year-olds, and we have 2 11-year-olds. Right? Crazy, right? Aren't we nuts? But we got married, and our life is really, truly amazing. And I'm glad, looking back then when I was holding on to that relationship, and it's not that I was holding on to him, it's just that I was in fear and I didn't know what to do. And I was tired and I was a single mom, and he lives in Virginia now, so who even cares? It's not like I even have to get divorced, right? Back then, I didn't know. I had forgotten how great life can be. So at the time, when it all seemed so horrible, when I finally let go, I evolved into this life. And I'm so grateful. Because nobody ever thinks when they're in the middle of that horrible thing or that horrible breakup, nobody ever thinks about what's around the corner. But guess what? There it is. And if I didn't go through that, and if I didn't go through all that horrible stuff and bad time and working hard, I would have never got off my couch that day. I would have never moved to New York. I would have never met the man of my dreams. And he truly, truly is my best friend. My best friend. And I would never, ever trade. I'm so glad I went through all that crap. I walked through the fire, not just that night at the workshop. I've walked through fire for years, you know? And I got burned a lot. But who cares? Who cares? Because you just keep going. You know, and people put up walls and no, never again, blah, blah, blah. Why? Why? You know, life's good. Life's really, really good. So that's how we came to be. So we're a blended family. We always put each other first, even as step parents. You know, he's not my kid's parent. I'm not his kid's biological parents, although we don't make any distinction. It's mom and dad live in the house. You don't have to call me mom, if you know, whatever, but I'm the mother of the house and he is the father of the house. We put each other's needs first. The kids all know this. Now, in the beginning, funny, my kids had never seen me in a relationship. Weird. I was married to my ex-husband for 12 years, but he was in the Navy, so he was never home. So they just thought, like, you know, the stork brought him or something. I don't know what they thought. So the first time my kids, literally, the first time my kids ever saw me kiss a man was Thad, their stepfather. I'd never given them an example of a positive relationship until now. And their lives have transformed too, because they see how to do it. So for me, having them see their mom or their dad unhappy, not good. You know, you're not doing them any favors. But having them see somebody who's really, really living an amazing life with an amazing, happy, fulfilled, passionate relationship is the best gift I ever gave them. And he's the best gift that I ever got. So that's how we blended our family. So I just want to thank you all. Thank you guys. Thank you all so much for coming. And just like the day that I got off the couch and went to that workshop and it changed my life, I hope this workshop has given you something that'll inspire you. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Oh, there's, if you wouldn't mind, there are flyers. If you wouldn't mind filling it back and giving it to my assistant, Sarah, some feedback, I would be very, very grateful. Thank you. And you guys, come on over. There's like bookmarks and buttons. And if you didn't sign in the beginning, please feel free to sign in. My business cards are here. Again, I do coaching. I work with couples, parents, singles, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you again. Thank you.